Welcome, everybody, back to the Dave Knows Comics live stream. I'm your host, David Lee. And I want to welcome everybody joining us and thank you for all of my new subscribers and old subscribers as well. Very glad that you are here and glad you could be a part of the week's show. And big news, I think all of you guys have known already, and you probably have already checked it out. And if not, I highly encourage you guys to do so. But the Birds of Prey trailer has been officially released out there to the interwebs. So, wanting to know what you guys think, I'm going to be talking about some of my specific issues or likes, dislikes, what I think, some of my anticipatory guesses of what this movie is going to be all about and what's going to be featured in this film. And I want to hear what your thoughts are as well. Also, remembering that this is indeed a comic book channel, I would also like to hear some of your favorite thoughts about the comic book series itself. What you like, what you don't. Okay, so going right into it, the first thing I want to point out here is we are talking about the Birds of Prey movie. Okay, this movie that has just come out, this trailer, not to be confused with whoops, that wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be. Not as smooth as the TV show. There you go. I was trying to do something cool, but that didn't work out. All right, so no repeat spot. Let's just move on with it. So instead of the TV show, which you may or may not remember, it didn't do too well, the Birds of Prey TV show was something that came out, and it was a colossal failure as far as many people were concerned. And this raised a lot of issues with the property of Birds of Prey for DC. So a lot of people didn't think it would go well. But what's a surprising move that DC is doing is they've taken this TV show, which may not have had the best reception by fans or by their critics alike. And they combined it with the Suicide Squad, which also didn't have the best track record in terms of fan appreciation. And interestingly enough, they seem to be taking two less than favored properties and merging them together to try and create something new. Will this tactic work? Because it's a very interesting idea for me. So I think, hey, what's going on, AJ Envoy? Are you doing the wrestling stream later? I absolutely am. Sorry to bring it up there. Hey, don't worry about it. We'll be doing it right after this. Hey, Ben Espinoza. So it's an interesting idea combining two less than happy properties and combining them together. It's a bold move on DC's, especially when they've been trying a lot of new things, which have been going well. I mean, we look at the Aquaman film, we look at the Wonder Woman film, and we also look at my personal favorite, the Shazam film in the DCEU. These are the movies that have been doing very well for them, and they're brand new properties that have been brought to the front line of having a movie. Now, yeah, fine. There was never a Justice League movie before either. But trying something new has been what's worked for them. So revisiting some past mistakes or past films that haven't done so well, or properties that haven't done so well, it's pretty interesting. Dave, you're going to talk about Joker soon? As soon as I seen it, I'm not like the other people who get early access to things. You know, I'm a regular person, so I have to see it. Me and Elmer plan to see it on Sunday, so there's a shot. Maybe we'll come back here and talk about it then. But yes, I definitely do plan on talking about it. Yeah, hey, Ben Espinoza, in case I didn't mention hey already. All right, so moving on. Back to Birds of Prey. So the trailer has released, and it's been getting some favorable reviews, and it's weird we're in the day and age where trailers are getting reviews now, where people are talking about trailers, including myself, but you kind of have to. It's something that people are saying looks good or whatever. Personally, for me, though, I am going to say I'm not convinced. I'm not saying that it looks bad, but I'm just saying that I'm not 100% sold that this is going to be earth-shattering. I'm still, quite frankly, to be perfectly honest, I'm still a bit butthurt over, Suicide Squad, because that looked great from the trailer, and nay. Granted, Margot Robbie's still in it, and that is definitely a huge part for me. I'm a big Margot Robbie fan. But then, we got the movie, and I didn't really care for it too much, but I thought she did a fantastic job in her role as Harley Quinn. And I was skeptical about that, too. But she proved me wrong, and I really, really like that. However, the movie as itself, definitely no good. Not my opinion. Hey, Harry Flynn! It could be good. It could be. It might be. You never know. I'm not saying that I think it looks bad. I'm not saying that it looks good. I'm just saying I'm very skeptical at this point. Very, very, very skeptical. Especially because I don't really know what the plot is. And even though the title is like bizarrely long, The Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Also on that front, not only this, but the Birds of Prey TV show, well, it had a certain vibe to it, which some people that's very limited audience might have enjoyed. I didn't really like it either. despite the fact that there were certain elements I did like in that show. That wasn't the show overall was not. I did not particularly care for. So I'm not super thrilled about the property. I'm not super thrilled about the universe it's in still. Despite the fact that there are 3 movies now that I did like, there are a few problems I have with it. But what I do know from this, which is being reflected, that I'm hesitant on is, well, let's look at the cast. Now, as I pointed out earlier, of course, I am a big fan of Margot Robbie's. I like this cast. I like this cast as a whole. I'm not familiar with everybody in it, but I do like Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I do like Rosie Perez. I am a fan of this roster as talent, as actor. The other 2 actresses, I don't know them. I don't know them from anything, so I'm not judging them in any way. I just don't know I just don't know anything about them. But, with that being said, despite whether I'm familiar with their work or not, despite whether I like them or not the point, because there is something else I want to address. And I'm not super sold on the idea of these actors playing these particular parts. Don't judge a book by its cover. I've always really, I think for people, that's a fair statement, but when it comes to books or movies, I don't know. I kind of feel like that's fair. How else do you judge a book? You look at the cover and you read the title and say, do I want to pick this up? Do I want to read this? That's kind of how book covers work. I've never understood. So for people, yes, that is true. For books, And that's saying for really, really old people out there would know that it comes from libraries because some of the newer books had really fancy dust jackets or covers on it and it looked great. And then the really worn books with no dust jacket and fell off were old and tattered looking. So the phrase, to be fair, is actually talking about, oh, this book doesn't have a cover on it. It looks manky. It looks terrible. And but the reason why it got like that is because the dust jacket fell off. It looks beat up because so many people keep checking the book out and reading it. And so just because the cover is ugly does not mean that the book is bad. Probably means the reverse. Probably means it's pretty good because it was probably pretty popular. And meanwhile, that book that's been on the shelf for hundreds of years, and it looks not hundreds of years, but for many years, and still looks brand new, it's probably because it sucks and nobody reads it. That's what the phrase means. But anyway, when it comes to movie trailers, I absolutely, as I did in an episode of Critical Mass, I absolutely think you could judge a movie by the trailer. That's the whole point. So, Ewan McGregor is in it. That's true. That is a good thing. Look at the trailer or read the first page. Okay, well, all right, never mind. I'm sorry, Harry Flynn. You completely backed up my point. So, yes, don't judge a book by its cover, but judge it by the trailer or judge it by the first page of the book. That's fair. I'll give you that. I'll totally give you that, Harry Flynn. Very good point. I like that you brought that up. Hey, Dave, wow, there isn't a lot of people watching the stream. No, thanks for pointing it out, but thank you for being here. Thank you for being one of them. Hopefully more catches on the replay. But the reason, let's go back to the cast. Okay, so, as again, not criticizing these actresses, not criticizing their work, because I'm not familiar with all their works, but the ones that I do know, I am a fan of them. But the reason I'm worried about this, or not even worried, but concerned, or not convinced that I need to see this movie, well, let's just start with the first. Cassandra Cain, okay? Don't know this actress. Don't know what she's capable of. She might be a brilliant performer, and her performance in this movie might be fantastic, but the reason I'm hesitant is because this is Cassandra Cain. That is not the Cassandra Cain I know. Now, fine, I know. Fanboys complain all the time. That's not the comic book movie I like. Yeah, okay. But in the movies, this girl, who definitely looks like her character is very different from the comic books, or at least appears to be very different from the comic books, but the character in the comic books, I absolutely love. I absolutely love that character. Totally badass. Now, the mute thing, I don't need that. Maybe, okay, but totally badass, lethal, scary, awesome. And this Cassandra Cain, look, again, maybe she's, I'm not criticizing her. Again, I cannot stress that enough, but I'm not scared of this girl. This girl don't scare me. Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, is supposed to put the fright in you. She is, her parents alone are like the scariest people in the DC universe. This is not, they're probably telling a different story. It looks like they're probably telling a story about Harley Quinn taking on a little girl and protecting her, kind of like in Deadpool 2, or like or Logan, or one of the bajillion other stories out there, movies that have been doing that. And that's my other issue too. If they're just copying, like when the Joker kind of started this, the trend of bad guy gets captured on purpose. Joker did it. Then Benedict Cumberbatch. I won't, in case you haven't seen it, I'm not going to reveal the plot twist on that one. But Benedict Cumberbatch in Star Trek Into the Darkness. Bane did it again in the very beginning of Dark Knight Rises. Loki did it in Avengers. A bad guy get captured on purpose. Now the new trend is, oh, we're going to take this tough and gruff and unlikable borderline villain character, but to make them redeemable, we're going to have them take care of a little girl. That's our new plan. Take care of a little girl. Hey, Ross Sanders, by Todd Phillips. The movie by Todd Phillips. Yes, we are talking about the movie. Joker, I mean, talking about the Joker. Hope he is talking. I'm not talking about Joker, Birds of Prey. We'll be talking about the Joker after I see it. But yes, so she's just not badass looking. And speaking on the badass front, another victim of this, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress. Now, I absolutely adore Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Okay, I think she's a phenomenal actress. But again, same thing. Huntress, supposed to be super awesome, so badass, scary. Run away from this girl. Huntress is gonna get you. You know, she is supposed to be scarier than like Samoa Joe. Okay, Huntress. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I ain't running. Even if she got a crossbow, I would say maybe we can work this out. What are you doing later? You know, kind of that. You know, great actress. Absolutely, I loved her in 10 Cloverfield Lane, among other many other roles. That's my favorite movie that she's ever been in. I liked her a lot in that role. But Huntress, but even in that movie, I was like, she's gonna take John Goodman. She's gonna fight John Goodman. I don't like her chances. So even in that movie, I didn't buy her as a credible, tough girl. And I need her to be that for Huntress. And well, I think a lot of these characters could play parts of superhero roles. I just find their roles as Huntress or Cassandra Cain very surprising. That's what's weird to me. Thanos took care of Gamora. That's true. I don't know where we're going with this, but yeah. Thank you for the thumbs up, by the way. So the casting of it is a bit interesting for me. And might I go back to the main focus, Miss Harley Quinn over here, played by one Margot Robbie, actress who, yes, for those of you who know, yeah, she totally fits my type. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of her work. I think she's an incredible actress, and she nailed the part like there's nobody's business. However, while it makes so much sense to me, so much sense that they would put Harley Quinn front and center of this movie because she was a lot of people's favorite part of the Suicide Squad, and they can't throw her away. It's the same thing like the DCEU with Wonder Woman and Gal Gadot. People loved her in that role, and she owned it. She did a great job with it. The problem is, the cinematic universe around Wonder Woman sucks. So if you scrap it, what do? Do you get rid of it and get rid of her, or you have to keep her? So what do you do with her character? Her established character in this continuity is kind of a rough trade. So what they're doing is they're moving Margot Robbie from Suicide Squad into this Birds of Prey. And that's fine. I like her. That's fine to a degree. I like moving the character over. I like keeping Margot Robbie in that role and keeping a little continuity to a degree. My issue with it is, why Birds of Prey? I would have no problem if they moved her to another property and just kept her around, but moving her to Birds of Prey, keeping her at the focal point. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is all in my belief, or what I think is, that this is an attempt to relegate two failed properties, such as that, where Birds of Prey, the TV show. Now, I'm just speculating here, but my opinion, what I think is going on is, they understand that the Birds of Prey television show didn't land. So maybe they view Birds of Prey, the property, as something that doesn't stick, especially with a character like Huntress, let's say, driving the ship, because she's not as popular. So they got a popular Harley Quinn, why not move her in? She's a female from Gotham, move her into the Birds of Prey, and then we get to have the best of both worlds. That's what I think the mentality is. Again, I don't know, because I'm not there. Let's take a time out to read what Ross Sanders said. Have you read Gail Simone's run of Birds of Prey? I have not. And which do you prefer, Dave or David, to be called? That is Alexa Bliss. Wait, what? Lost me on the line. Hey, what's up, Vinny Montana? I'm at the comic book run. No, I did not. I heard good things about it, but I did not. And I'm not going to lie. The Birds of Prey television show did turn me off to the franchise as well, which is a shame because I'm a big Barbara Gordon fan. I really like Barbara Gordon a lot. So anyway, Moving this out here makes strategic sense in terms of popularity to try and relegate to do a saving grace. It's kind of like how Wonder Woman got leaned on a little harder in the Justice League movie after the Wonder Woman movie came out. They're like, oh crap, she's popular. Rest of the movie, CGI mustache. Wonder Woman, here you go. Let's try a little more Wonder Woman in the trailers. So I get this to a degree. But the downside of it is, I think it compromises the actual Birds of Prey team. I like that team a lot. I like the focus on it. Now, we haven't gotten an established Barbara Gordon yet, so that's too bad, because she is a major part of it, and I actually thought she was well casted in the TV show. But when we see it, Barbara Gordon, because I also think something that gets kind of unsaid, but is definitely true as far as I'm concerned, is that Barbara Gordon is one of the smartest people in the DC universe. I don't think enough people talk about that. She's up there. No, she's not. She's not number one or number three, because that's Mr. Terrific, and she's not number two. But she's really high up there for me, and I think she is one of the smartest people there is. And regardless of where you prefer her as Oracle, or you prefer her as Batgirl, or just as Barbara Gordon, Commissioner's daughter. Here nor there. But for me, she's a major part of the team, and unfortunately, she's not in it. I get that has nothing to do with Harley Quinn, though. I don't think that decision has to do with Harley. But what I am saying is that with this being about Harley Quinn's emancipation from the Joker, and being single and all this stuff, and striking out on her own, we're losing the focus being on these team members. We're losing the focus being on Huntress. We're losing the focus being on Oracle, who's not even in the movie. We're losing the focus being on Black Canary. We have this team, which I like a lot, but they're turning a team movie, and beyond just ignoring the main characters of the actual show or the actual series or the actual group, it's even worse because now you've taken a character who's not even in the team and presenting her front and center as the main character. So now you're taking this team idea, this team property, and turning it into a feature where it became Harley Quinn and Friends. It's becoming, it should have just been a Gotham Sirens movie at this point. And while, I understand there are people who are fans of Gotham Sirens, to me, Birds of Prey is a much more interesting team, for sure. I like the aspects. I like the dynamic between them. I like the roster. So that's the downside. And also, just taking a team and turning it into a solo venture with, it'd be like if Van Halen became David Lee Roth and Friends. David Lee Roth and Van Halen. David Ruffin and the Temptations, for, whatever type of music you like. I am noticing a pattern here with the name, though. Anyway, when she cosplayed as Harley Quinn, Dave, did you hear that Matt Reeves is going to go beyond the Batman trilogy and have Batgirl? I've heard that, but Joss Whedon was also supposed to have a Batgirl movie. I'll believe it when I see it. Hey, True Sinister, on break, working as usual. Well, thank you for taking the time out, and I enjoy and appreciate you being here. And by the way, thank you for a thumbs up, whoever that was. Dave, who would you cast as Nightwing for Matt Reeves' Batman? Very tough call, very tough call. I've never found an actor that I thought was perfect for Nightwing. A lot of times I see an actor, or I think there's a character where I'm like, that guy should be played by this so-and-so. I mean, it's kind of the point of fan cast, correct. But Nightwing, no one's ever jumped out at me, and he's my favorite DC character, favorite DC hero, should I point out. But did Harley end up with Poison Ivy? Yes, she did. But is that going to happen in this movie? Doesn't look like it. But even so, not a Birds of Prey story. And as pointed out, Gail Simone has had a very well-received run. So the thing is, there's a lot of characters that a lot of things that this property could get. Now, I get that Birds of Prey is not a mainstream property to put out there as a film of its own. I can understand that. But I was interested to see what they do with it, especially since we have learned that traditionally, characters or properties that DC has been worried about have been doing very well. Wonder Woman was always going to be fine, but they never had a lot of confidence behind Wonder Woman. That's why it took them so long to make the movie, and look, it did well. But Aquaman was the butt of a joke forever, and Aquaman blew the doors off. Shazam, not even their property, and to begin with, and same thing. You like John Hamm as Batman? I am not a guy who's rooting for John Hamm to play a serious character. I think he's a superhero character. It's weird, but I kind of like him in funny roles when he's being comedic. I know he can do both, but I don't know. I like him more comedically than if I'm Batman, I want to, unless, it was like Lego Batman, but, Arnell's doing great, so. But you get my point. I don't know. I think he's a very funny guy. I don't know if it's just me. Okay, so let's go. So that is one. So the Cassandra case. So that is one issue I have with putting Harley front and center, as well as some of the other cast. But let's move on to a male member of the cast, Ewan McGregor as Black Mask. Now, fantastic actor. I'm with you on Harry Flynn. I'm with you with that. Very, very good actor. I definitely like him a lot. Ewan McGregor was the best part, one of the best parts of a good part of the Star Wars prequels. Not gonna lie, big Darth Maul fan, so I forgot. I gotta pull that back. Darth Maul all the way. Ewan McGregor's Black Mask. Now, as you can see, he does not look like the character of Black Mask. He doesn't have the Black Mask, but there is a lot to imply that they're at least foreshadowing it. Maybe he gets it at the end. Maybe he doesn't. Who knows? Maybe we're just not seeing it yet. I think we probably will see it towards the end. Maybe at a post credits. Maybe at the very end. But I would like it if they did the whole third act. If we got the whole third act with him, all black masked out. But I think they're going to save it to either post credits or towards the end, which is fine. But Ewan McGregor, pretty good choice, and I'm glad to. I like seeing him going to be branching out a little bit as a villain, because I can't think of the last time I saw him as a bad guy, because he's just too likable. Just too likable. He was actually one of the guys who I thought would have been a very cool Gilderoy Lockhart in the Harry Potter franchise. I think he was busy with Star Wars at the time, and not only that, he was a little youngish to be Gilderoy then, but I had a friend who actually pointed out they thought it would be better if Ewan McGregor played him because he was young, and it would make it funnier that everything he's saying is clearly a lie because he's too young to do it. He thought it would have added to the Gilderoy Lockhart humor, but that's just just nothing. So very happy with that as a cast. So member of the cast. It might have been a little obvious or a little bit cliche at this point, but for me, what I would have preferred is if Harley Quinn was the main bad guy of this instead, and the Birds of Prey team revolved around her. That is a way I would have preferred it. I know I just kind of jumped into this with no segue, but yeah. Hey, Raven Nexus. Oh, Ewan McGregor. Yeah. That's true. That's true, Elmer. That is true. So Elmer's here. So as I was pointing out, me and Elmer will be seeing the Joker movie later this weekend. Perhaps we might come on and talk about it after seeing. Vinny Montana. I did not know that. Oh yeah, Zaz! I forgot to mention Zaz. Zaz is a cool character. I always like characters, Zaz. He was in Batman Begins. He's in a bunch of stuff. So now it's like, okay, great, Zaz is here again. Cool character, no problem with it. It's just now I don't get excited when I see him anymore. Now I'm just like, oh, he's there. He's like too easy of a character to just throw into Gotham in the background, because it requires just some guy who looks like a psychopath and just put a couple scars on him. It's like, hey. So in the least you're like Easter egg. At the most, you're like, oh, scary guy in a show. Also, but yeah, good point. Who would be a good Oracle? Might have to jump on that on an episode of Fancast, correct? But I did like, I believe her name was Dana Meyer, in the Birds of Prey television show. I don't know if she could play the role now, but I thought she was a good job at it then. Today's day and age, very, very, very difficult. I also have a weird thing about how many actresses play redheaded characters from comic books, but they have dyed hair that's very obviously that they're not, like Kirsten Dunst in Spider-Man, most obvious answer ever. It's like, what do you do? Or Famke Janssen as Jean Grey. It's like, what? I'd rather just go with a regular hair color on that. So I don't know. It's a tough call. Who I would like to see. Are you ready for Batwoman this Sunday and Watchmen coming? Watchmen, I am interested. I'm not optimistic or pessimistic about it, but I'm interested. Batwoman, I'm still super psyched for Infinite Crisis. That's the number one thing that I care about. Dave, will you check out Batwoman this Sunday? Probably not. I'm not big on the CW shows, or any of the superhero live-action TV shows, really, personally. It's cool if you like them, but, none of them really do it for me. Okay, guys, but thank you for coming on. Thank you for the likes. I know everybody's finally beginning to siphon in here, but I am curious to know, at least DCEU made an unexpected return. True. Scarlett Johansson dyed her hair. Yeah, and very obviously not red. She goes onto my list, too, where... I know nothing about dyeing hair, okay? I don't know how hard it is to make some, but I think red hair is one of those things that people look like they have. And there are some that pull it off convincingly. For example, Emma Watson. She is, from the best of my understanding, a natural blonde. She just dyes it red, and she looks right with it. You don't question it. It's one of those things that you're like, oh, that makes sense. She looks natural as a redhead, but there are a lot of people who don't have red hair, and I understand it's rare, but still, where's one where who knows? Who knows? There's more of it. But what are your thoughts on the Birds of Prey? Now I've talked about it, the trailer. Have you checked out the trailer? Are you interested in seeing the movie? What do you like? What are you looking forward to? Please, time to share away. Yeah, please, time to share. Let's get into that. Let's get into everybody's thoughts on before we go into the wrestling channel, which we will be getting into shortly. Yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? And if you got nothing right now, check out the trailer and leave it in the comment section. And also, are you done with the DCEU? Or are you kind of like, I've had my fill of this? Where are we standing? So Harley has no Harley has anti-hero then, says Ross Sanders. So Harley not has an anti. I'll watch Birds of Prey. Yeah, no, I intend to watch it too. Harley is an anti-hero. See, that's the other issue I have with it. I'm not super in love with the idea of Harley being an anti-hero because it doesn't make any sense to me. I like her partnered up with the Joker. I prefer that relationship. Especially since it's like the best example of a bad relationship and it's what makes villains villains. So Joker should be abusive to her, and it's terrible. And if you sympathize, go, that's terrible, that's treating her like garbage. Again, fictional character, shut up, she's not real. She has no feelings, she's not real. But I like it as a warning saying this is why Joker's a villain. Let's remember, as cute as you think they are together, he's still Chris Brown. And, it's like in real life, we don't play it that way. In real life, it's like, oh, they're in love. She took him back and forgive them. That's stupid. They are real. That's dumb. That sets up terrible precedents. But our fictional characters, let's just show you this awful abusive relationship to remind you not only why they're villains, but also why this is bad and you shouldn't do this. So, right, I like them together. However, if you are going to separate Harley Quinn and make her and let her drive the engine by herself, which I think she is capable of doing, I still rather her do it from a villain perspective. I still rather her do it from a villain style because that's what I think is very interesting to me. And we did this on the Monday Night Wrong, as Elmer can attest to. A lot of the conception about it. Elmer says, I prefer Black Canary, Huntress, and Oracle as the focal point of Birds of Prey. Couldn't agree more. Dave, do you know, Vinny Montaigne says, Dave, how do you feel about them bringing back Tom Welling and Brandon Ross? Absolutely great. Very excited for it. The whole thing I'm excited for. The other thing about Harley Quinn as a villain perspective, and Elmer attests to it as we did on Monday Night Wrong when the character Alexandra was introduced. Not going to get into all the behind-the-scenes things, but when we were bringing on the character of Alexandra, we didn't know what we were going to do with her per se in the beginning. It was a conversation between me, Brian, and Elmer. We were all talking about this, and we knew we were going to introduce a new member of the cast, and we knew it was going to be Alexandra. And at first it was suggested that, why not she be the girl, Alexandra, very pretty woman, as you're watching, as I think you all know. And I didn't want to do a generic pretty girl storyline. I didn't want to do just like, oh, she's going to be the pretty one that everyone fawns over. So we wanted to do something different. And the idea was, let's just make her crazy. Let's make her stalk Brian. Let's make her, I think it was, Brian might have been the one who suggested he thought it would have been funny if Brian would have been inappropriate to her. But I said, why don't we flip that? Why don't we just make it where she's super inappropriate with Brian all the time? Because you just wouldn't see that coming. And then instead of just being like awkward and like flirty with a married man, let's make it that she's crazy and like obsessed with him. And it's more interesting and that's what I really like about the Harley Quinn character, is if you make her the villain, how often do you get, and I don't mean like crazy in that, I mean like, and I don't mean crazy in the scary kind, but I mean like Harley Quinn as being a totally like different kind of mental. Which is the fascination to me about the Joker, fascination to me about Deadpool. It's like they have a certain mindset that's very different from anybody else's. And I love that. And that's the kind of thing I want to see more of. And you don't get it in a female character very often. So that's one thing that I really wish that I would rather see. And we also don't get a lot of stories from the villain perspective, because Hollywood still feels a need to be scary. And I know I'm running into the wrestling live stream, so I'm trying to hurry up very much here. But when it comes to, so if I'm speaking a little fast, when it comes to Hollywood, they don't have down and tell things like we saw a lot of in Suicide Squad. It's, we're the bad guys. I felt like Will Swift kept saying, we're the bad guys. But, he does it for his daughter, and they're really good guys. They're not really that bad. Forget that. I would love a movie where it's just driven from the bad guy's point of view straight up. American Psycho, great example. This guy's not redeemable. You don't have to like the protagonist. Let's just go on to the main. This is this person's story. Let's go on with it and see what things are like. Okay, I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank everybody for the likes. Thank you for being a part. And if you're not watching this live, please leave your comments below. What do you think of the Birds of Prey trailer? What do you think of the property? And are you looking forward to it? And any other thoughts you have. So thanks so much for watching. And as always, Dave